Okay, we're on our backsides. We've already done a bit to move and shift and wiggle around, and we're going to take a variety of bridge lifts. So take a couple of bridges on your own, wherever you would like to take them. So knees bend, feet plant onto the mat, you push into the heels, you lift the hips up towards the sky. That's a bridge. I could pass a cat underneath you if I needed to, or a small enough dog. You can make this more back bendy for a couple of ups and downs. You can allow more arch, like a rainbow. You can have it more about the legs. You can even add arms in. You can press the palms into the mat as you press the hips upward. So you're just playing around. There's a couple ideas for you. But the first couple of bridges are your own before we start playing to target a couple of things. We're all here from Wyoming, so I don't know if anybody was like, oh, she said target. I miss target sometimes. All right, so come back down to your mat, and we're gonna try a couple of variety of bridges. So we did that little ringing of the bell earlier with our ribs, right? So you're gonna ring the bell back behind you, which means those low back ribs are gonna press down into the ground. And even your low back is going to start to press down towards the ground. So that little beautiful arch that you have there will start to decrease a little bit. And you're going to take the left and right pelvis and feel like you're really rooting down through the floor. You might feel a little tailbone tuck up towards the sky. And then keep that long neutral from tailbone to top of head action. Arms are going to come either to T or V-like shape. And they're going to press down into the floor. So you get a little bit of engagement there. And now kind of keeping this whole active tension throughout. Heels press into the mat and hips rise up just a little bit towards the sky. You won't have as much of that rainbow arch, but this round or two is less about the back bending and more about giving our whole body some tension work here. You can stay in this lift if you're really enjoying the squeezing of those muscles, or you can come down and back up 2 or 3 times, nice and slow. Some options, whether you're holding the bridge or you come back up and down. You can also dig into the heels as if you're trying to pull them actively towards your bottom. That's going to light up all kinds of stuff on the back body from heels to glutes. If you feel any unwanted tension in the low back, you might try lengthening it by giving that tailbone a bigger swoop up towards the sky, back bending into it a little less. Oh yeah, and breathe. Maybe you've done a couple of rounds with this extra cueing on the mind, but come back down wherever you're at, bottom and back to the mat. And then reach the feet out a little bit long. So you're going to walk your feet towards the top of your mat. And once you get there and you start to work back into your bridges, if you were like, ooh, I reached too far, bring the feet back in, it's fine. You can follow some of those same cues that I just gave you to pull into your bridge, or just come up into your bridge. Either way, you're going to feel something very different now that your feet are much further away from your body, from your bottom. So explore what you liked. If you really enjoy the arms pressing into the ground, maybe you just do that with your lifts. If you really like that tailbone tucking action, do that with this long bridge lift. Your feet are eventually going to work their way back towards you when you have settled back down out of your last bridge. And for this last bridge lift, you can either keep that long kind of flat back, you're anchoring down the low back ribs, the low back itself, and then take your lift. Or if you want to do more of that arching action and you just let the low ribs flare up and belly comes up towards the sky more, it's your choice. But either way, once you get into that bridge, you're going to hold for a moment. You're going to need to bear down a little bit through your core. So kind of that cinching corset feeling, maybe that cough feeling where everything gets a little tense, not 110% tense, just enough that you can press down into the right heel and feel a tiny bit light on the left heel without anything moving. That's the trick. So if you can stabilize to the core enough to not move anything from head to hips, and then just feel light in that left foot. And then plant that left foot down firmly, because now you're going to want to feel light in the right foot, as if you could lift it off the mat. But don't let the hips rock side to side. Don't let them tilt in any direction. And if they did, then that's okay. We got a little core work to do. All right, come on down, soften, soften, soften. A couple of options are bring knees into chest rock, do some twist sides to sides. Let go of the belly. And whenever you're done with your free movement here, you're going to find your way onto your right side. And you can use that bottom right arm as your pillow. If you've got something else in your space that you can use instead of your arm, that's fine. Give your head a little elevated cushion on your right side. And then that bottom leg, that right leg, doesn't need to be bent at like 90 at the hip, but close enough where it feels like it's going to give you a good kickstand, because that top left leg is going to wiggle and move around. So here's your moment to get some freedom for that top hip. We did a lot of leg work today. So you can have the knee bent and circling round. You can have the leg long and reaching up in different directions. Yeah. You might even envision that you're drawing a circle with the knee or a circle with the foot. You could draw squares just to do something different. Just some little wild business here for that hip. And then let that top left leg go long so the foot reaches towards the top of your mat. And yeah, you might need to change that bottom knee a little bit. It feels a little bit more stable to bend a little bit more into it, or bring the knee a little bit more to your chest. And reach through the heel as if you were trying to tap maybe the wall in front of you or the screen in front of you. That button analogy from last week. So if you're trying to reach through your heel to find that button, if you want even more length on your side, you can take that left arm and reach it overhead. It doesn't have to be long and straight. It can be bent at the elbow a little, yeah. This is one of my favorite stretches to do actually when I have some like little low back pain. I wish I was there all to kind of just tug on your heel gently. That's always so nice. All right, soften, bring that knee to stack on the other. You just hang here for a moment, settle in. Take a breath or two. We're going to find a twist out of this. So the knees are going to stay off towards the right. And you're going to let the arm, the shoulders, the head start to unravel towards your left. Yep. Perfect. And if you want to keep knees and hips stacked, that will give you one kind of a twist. If you want to let them slide from an unstacking and have a little bit more of a softer twist, you can go there. You can be still in this twist. You can find a way to move the twist deeper. And then find a journey that fits you to come back to center. Feet plant down for a moment. And we take all that goodness to our second side. Whenever you're ready, you know where we're going with this. We're rolling onto the left now. And you find the pillow action with that arm underneath the head. You decide where your knees want to bend. And freedom to wiggle into that top right leg. Long-legged, bent knee. Reaching high, staying low. And then inviting that long side body stretch. So letting the leg go long, and that bottom leg might need to bend or plant in a different way to make you feel a little bit more stable on your side. That's more or less a right stack of the hip, left. And push through that heel towards the wall, towards the desk, towards an imaginary button. If you enjoyed having a reach with your arm over your head, and then soften the extension, let it go for a moment, let that knee bend, stack over the other. And then the knees stay off to our left side here. And we're letting our right arm, our right shoulder start to twist towards the left. And choice to keep knees and hips stacked or to let them slide unstacked. Invite the twist through the spine wherever you would like. Take your time to unravel back to your center, especially if you're really enjoying the twist. Stay a little longer, but we're all eventually going to meet on our backside. And settle in for a breath or two. Now you've done both sides. They might feel a bit equalized. They might feel different still from each other. We're going to come onto the belly. So however you want to get there, it can be simply just a rolling over. This is some of my favorite work to do. I feel like all yoga is my favorite, but some of these things really are my favorite. I love being on my belly and getting my back to do a little bit of work for me. So choices here, so many. If you love to let the legs play, you can lift and pedal them like you're kicking in the water. If somebody's teaching you how to swim. You can do this vigorously, or you can do this real nice and slow, like you're swimming in molasses. You can concentrate on one leg lift at a time, or both legs lifting. You might prefer to add some arms in with the legs as well. You can lift left leg, left arm, or left leg, right arm. You can kind of cross the body or same side. The arms can be reached overhead. They can be draped at your sides. Keep lifting up and then resting down. Follow your energy if you want to just do slow lifts or slow movements. If you're going for a marathon swim. And just another moment or two to play around before we come to rest for a moment on our belly here. You might already be at rest. You might be thinking, that was nice. I'm going to be still. And then once you're flat on your belly side, you can either be forehead down or like a left or right cheek to the mat. You can have hands pillowing. Give a little rock of the hips. So the left and right little bony points, let them shift into the floor. And it's like a little rocking slash twisting. Yeah. Kind of makes me think of hip windshield wipers. They're kind of sloshing a little side to side. Nice. And then bring the palms to support your upper body. So they're sort of cactusy or goalposty like, palms flat onto the mat. Yep. And your elbows can be a little bit closer to your ribs, or they can be a little bit further out. And you're going to slowly peel off the mat with the support of your palms. So first the head starts to lift a little bit, like there's a string at the back of your neck and head. And then the collarbones start to lift off. You decide where you want to stop. The support of your hands is always there. You can lift higher, following down your sternum to somewhere in your rib cage. You can make this more active by feeling lighter through the palms, or you can use your palms to press into the ground and add more of a passive bend. And you'll lower down the way you came in. So one little rib at a time until collarbones, chin, and the whole bit comes down. So just take your time. Like you were a magnet and I was peeling you up, and then you get to come back down. Second round, what felt like a cue that landed on your body well? How do you want to design your second lift? It's up to you. I gave you a lot of maybe too many suggestions. So pick one or two, go with it. Lift when you're ready. And then you'll lower down when you're satisfied. And then rest for a moment, forehead or a cheek to the mat. If there's any last little movements or wiggles you want to make before we flip over onto our back, you can just remain still and enjoy. And then turn onto a side, left or right. And roll onto your back. We did quite a bit for all the moving parts today. So if I left something out for you, if you need anything else, little knee tuck, some happy baby action. Maybe a subtle slide into your rest where knees stay bent and they drape into towards each other. Well, that's where we're headed. So we're starting to unravel the tension that we're holding and all those lovely muscles that we got to squeeze and bend and stretch today. We're starting to let go of some of our senses. So if your eyes aren't closed, perhaps you close them now. And your awareness for the room is slowly starting to envelop around you into a nice little neat bubble. So that you're more aware of just the shell of your outer being. You might visit with your inner eye on some hip joints or parts of your back or spine. You can check in with how your knees are doing or any other part. And as you're slowing down the heart rate, the exhales, your movements, Start to slip into your final position like a nice warm bath. And the final bit of work that we do to complete the yoga experience, because it's nice to move, but ultimately we want to create a little bit of stillness for the mind after all that shifting and wiggling. So that you can venture inward a little. Be just as curious about your bones and tissue as you are what floats around in your brain. And some days we need to peek at those thoughts a little bit deeper, and some days we're like, I need to shelve this for later. That's okay too. Thank you for joining me this evening. Fulfilling me with the opportunity to teach and to be a part of our cute little yoga community. Try to be at ease with just your breath, just the stillness for a couple of minutes. Thank you all for sharing your practice with me this evening.